later on in the show
Yep.
for this Thanksgiving edition of Inside the Cave. We're not pre-recorded. We're not the B team for Inside the Cave. We're your normal Thursday show, and we're happy to have you along with us today.
Oh, there's a dig if I ever heard one.
What? We're not the B show.
Well, of course we're not.
We're the A show for Thursday. You know, all these hot shots get the day off, and like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to come in.
Yeah.
What? You know, am I up at 9 making the turkey? No. Why can't I just come into work in the morning? So,
Come into work and take care of business.
yep, it's going to be, I think for this hour, we'll probably dedicate most of it to the Lions. As much as some of us might not want that.
Of course,
It's
kicking off at noon today, so just a few hours from now.
this is going to act as like a mini pregame show.
Pre-game show, yeah.
A couple hours early, but you know, they take on the Houston Texans. Detroit, you know, is 4-6. Houston 3-7.
Yeah.
And I really dove into this, Pat. I took some notes on, you know, when Detroit's on offense, when Detroit's on defense, what they need to do to be successful. And they got some stats from the team. So
Okay.
I think when Detroit's on offense, Matthew Stafford needs to revert to early 2019 Matthew Stafford. He cannot look like he did against Carolina. Not even a little bit. And I said it on the air yesterday. If his thumb is in a place where he can't like effectively throw the football, don't play him. Don't play. I know you're tough. We all know that. But a thumb is different than like a leg injury or something like that. You need that. You need that to throw the football effectively. And if that's not working right, don't play. But when Detroit's on offense, he needs to revert to early 2019 Matthew Stafford. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Is
it
that too
does.
much to ask? I mean, he was
Well-
looking great at the start of last year, and since then he's been hurt, and this year has been bad.
But I guess you have to say his offensive line has been kind of banged up this year, too.
Yeah, you could say that.
Because last year they were pretty consistent. We went to see him play the Chiefs, and they played really well up until that fourth quarter, and then that's when they gave it away like they did 5 or 6 other games last year.
Right, yeah, and Stafford looked good, and like I said, got hurt, and it's all history from there. I got a second bullet point here for Detroit's offense. Find or stick with the running game. It's important. It helps neutralize the pass rush, but don't fall into running on first down. I mean, that's sort of become Lions fans watching TV. They're like, oh, here comes a run,
Yeah.
pass,
Too predictable.
yep, or run. Okay, now it's 3rd and 8, pass.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't put your team in a good position to win. You know, you need to get some yardage when you're rushing, but you don't need to be great. You don't need to be Baltimore's rushing attack or San Francisco last year. Just be who you are. Don't abandon it. Don't be Los Angeles and throw it like 60 times against Tampa. That's not... Stafford can't function that way. He needs play action. He needs defenses off balance. Because if they can pin their ears back, look out. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think DeAndre Swift is going to be out or is probable today with that concussion protocol. And so that doesn't help things either. But, one thing, I think they're underutilizing Adrian Peterson. I think they could give him the ball a few more times than they have been. And I know they want DeAndre Swift and all those other new running backs that they have on the team to get the ball, but you got a professional back there that knows what he's doing. And if he gets a few blocks, if he gets beyond, the line of scrimmage, he can cause some real damage.
Yeah, he's still got some moves at his old age of 65, right? He's 65 years old? No, he's
Yeah,
in his mid-30s.
He's 30s, yeah, late 30s probably.
Yeah, I agree. But you got to get him to the linebacker level. There's got to be competency up front.
Okay.
That's for a football team that position's undervalued, and we, as media, sports media, don't talk about it nearly as much because it's boring. But you know when it's bad. It's like officiating. You don't really know it's there unless it stinks. Offensive line has to play well, and you're totally right, Pat.
What's your other bullet point?
In Detroit's on offense, there's really one guy on defense for Houston you have to worry about, and that's J.J. Watt. He's still there, still wrecking havoc. He's really the only threat with Clowney out of there in Houston. Don't let him take over the game.
And I think Watt is healthy now, where he's had a couple of years where he hasn't been at 100%, and so we'll have to see how that works out today. I'm sure he'll be all over the Lions today.
Yeah, I think they'll line him up on Matthews' right side. I don't think he'll match him up on Decker. I think Taylor Decker is going to bounce back. He had a tough game against Carolina for stretches there, but yeah, it's going to be up to a guy like Kerryon Johnson, a guy that we know is good at pass protection, maybe chipping him every couple plays. But you have to neutralize him. You cannot let him take over the football game from the Houston defense. When I'm going through this analysis and you're out there listening, you're like, no, Ian, they have to do this.
You're all wet, Ian.
Call the show. Let us know. If there's something you think we're missing or you think you know more than we do, call us. 517-265-4000. Now, when Detroit is on defense...
Oh, man. That has been the worst for me this year.
It's the worst for quite a few people. This might be the most obvious thing for this game. Don't let Deshaun Watson beat you. Back off and force them to run the football. Like, have 3 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and a bunch of safeties and D-backs. Because Deshaun Watson is it.
Yeah.
He's it. And they've won 3 games. You know, once they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins and fired their coach, we thought, oh, geez, they might not win another game. Well, they beat Jacksonville again, and they beat New England last weekend. That's because Deshaun Watson was playing superhero. And we've seen teams, opposing teams, come into Ford Field on Thanksgiving and just put up all-star, all-pro, Pro Bowl numbers.
Well,
like teams' backups doing that. And this is not an ordinary quarterback.
The visiting teams take this game seriously because it's the only game on television at that particular moment. And they're making the best of it. And coming to Detroit has been a feast for the opposing teams in the last few years.
Right, it's like playing the Jets at this point. And you're like, gosh, I don't want to be the team to lose to the team that hasn't won. You know, it's like, I don't want to be the team that gets smoked on Thanksgiving. The Lions always get crushed on Thanksgiving.
And, you know, and there's added pressure for both of these coaches. Romeo Crennel, he's 3-3 since he took over, and he's wondering if he's going to have a job next year because of that record and the fact that he's an interim coach right now. And of course, we all know about Matt Patricia.
Who? Who's that again?
MP.
He's a coach? Oh, yeah, okay.
MP.
Yeah.
And we know he is on his way out. There's no question about it.
Doesn't this feel like a typical Lions game where we go, they should lose, right?
And I picked them to lose.
They should lose, but when you think they're out, they string you along. They say, here's what we can be. We'll go out and score 34 points and win. But then they'll beat Washington on a miracle last-second drive.
Yep.
Or they'll beat a playoff contender in Arizona, and the Lions are 4-6. Like, that's kind of what this team is, and it's kind of got that feeling to it. Is like, gosh, you got shut out by Carolina, you stink, you're done, Patricia needs to go. Watch, they'll go out and win.
Well, that Carolina game was a game that they had to win if they were going to stay in the playoff run. I mean, they had to have that game, and it was a lackluster. I mean, offense couldn't score a point. Come on, give me a break against the Carolina Panthers, who are without their top running back.
And quarterback.
Yeah,
And a young defense and a rookie head coach. And I gave my bid on Stafford. I'm putting a lot of the blame on him for that game, but I'm looking forward. Needs to rebound for this one. So when Detroit's on defense, point number 2, and then we're coming up on a break here, the defensive line needs to show up. Give me something. Because you're going to have to drop your linebackers in coverage against Deshaun Watson. So, it's like when you play the Chiefs. You want to get pressure without blitzing, ideally. And that's when Detroit was really good. When they made the playoffs a couple of years, they could get pressure with just their 4 guys. They have to do something similar today to have a chance against a mobile quarterback, an athletic quarterback, a guy that's got a really good arm in Deshaun Watson. The D-line, whoever it is, they need to show up. They need to show up and play, get pressure on the quarterback.
Well, I think a lot of the pressure needs to go to the linebackers because they're letting the plays get past the line of scrimmage, whether it's a dump pass or it's a jet sweep. I mean, it's getting into the linebacker core and on the defense.
Yeah, and we could break down hours and hours of film, but I'm sure there's plenty of instances of running back going this way and Detroit linebacker filling the hole on this side.
It's like the defense already knows the play.
Yeah, it's like why, it's. But if the D line can play good football, good football, and you don't have to bring pressure from the linebackers, those guys can focus on the pass and the outside runs. D-line has been a disappointment this year so far. They need to step it up.
All right. If you've got a comment, give us a call here on the studio line, 517-265-4000. That's the number to call. You can also send us an email, sports@965thecave.com. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Don't go away. We'll be right back. And you're back inside the cave this morning. Pat Hayes along with Ian Went. And again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone in our listening audience today. There you go. The big turkey.
Uh-huh.
Can't wait. What's your favorite part of the turkey, Ian?
The turkey itself? Well, the turkey
The
breast,
white or
that's
the dark
go-to.
meat? Or,
Yeah, the white meat.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm not old school. Is that sort of an old school thing to like them both?
Well, I'm old, so I don't. I'm a white
Okay.
meat fan
Now,
myself.
Favorite Thanksgiving food that is not the turkey?
Oh, stuffing. Stuffing definitely for me. Yeah.
Do you make it a certain way?
Stuffing and mashed potatoes, kind of half and half there.
I almost just fell asleep from the mashed potatoes. Just eating too many and just sleeping in the chair watching the Lions.
Tryptophan gets to you.
Yeah.
So what besides that are you gonna have today?
Big fan of the cranberry sauce.
You know, that's a funny thing that you brought that up, because I was listening to another program. They were talking about Thanksgiving, and they were talking about cranberry sauce. And I said, hardly anybody loves that anymore. And I said, you crazy? I love cranberry sauce.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great
I
with
like
turkey.
all those berries, cranberries, cherries, things like that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, mashed potato fan.
Yeah.
Big time. Stuffing's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Stuffing's not bad, but
Yeah.
green bean casserole.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, jeez.
Absolutely.
All right, we're cutting the show early.
Yeah.
Gotta go get cooking.
Let's go. Let's get on with it. Give us a call here if you'd like to talk sports with us. We've been talking Lions, but we can talk anything else that you'd like to. Give us a call on the studio line, 517-265-4000. Don't forget, we'll be talking about Michigan football and maybe a little basketball with John Borton from the Wolverine magazine, coming up at about 8:25 this morning.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. Talk about a couple of Michigan wins.
Yeah.
On the hardwood and on the gridiron. Back to the Lions. I want to recap what I think the offense has to do to win and be successful. Stafford needs to revert to early 2019. Got to play really well. Just do it. You're going to have no Galladay. You got to put the ball in a spot where your guy can catch it. Number 2, find and stick with the running game. 2 or 3 yards a carry is not bad. Now you can't start with a dive up the middle and get stuffed. Pun intended with Turkey Day and stuffing, but get a running game, stay with it. Number 3, neutralize J.J. Watt. He's really the threat on defense. Do whatever you have to do to keep him out of it. Now Detroit's defense. Womp, 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 womp. No, I did it for you.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson cannot beat you. You need to back off, make them run the football. 3 down linemen. Heck, 2 down linemen. Force him to run the football. He's been their superstar. You cannot let him beat you single-handedly. 2, defensive line needs to show up. Get pressure without blitzing. Beat a guy. Make plays. Be there. Be disruptive. And number 3, can the pass defense please step up?
You suck.
Yeah, can you please? You gave up 258 yards to an XFL quarterback. Making
Pretty
his
good
first
one at
start.
that, too, yeah.
Right, no doubt. But come on.
Yeah.
All right, I know Houston's got some weapons. Everyone does. It's the NFL. Everyone except probably New York, Jets, and Jacksonville has weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Can we see the pass defense step up? Just be old no-fly zone. Because you know they want to throw the football. Get physical when you need to. Can you play a good game, please? Come on. Get a couple turnovers. Knock the ball out of some guy's hands. Play with energy. Play like you drafted a corner number 3 overall.
They got to keep Will Fuller in check today, too, because he's their leading receiver. And 47 receptions, 6 touchdowns for him, an average of 15 yards per catch.
That's a big old number, Pat.
That's a big number. And he's only had 2 drops this year.
Wow. Wow.
So,
We'll see
yeah.
who gets matched up on him. I know the Lions want to play man coverage.
Yeah.
That's the matchup, right?
Well, the offense they've got to be more creative. They can't be so predictable when they come up to the line of scrimmage, like you said
The
earlier.
Detroit offense.
They just can't run the ball on the first 2 downs and then
we gotta
third
throw
and
it
8.
now.
Oh yeah, we got a little dump pass over the middle, and the linebacker's right there and knocks it away. 3 and out, kick the ball, and then watch the other team 16-play drive, and they get a
Right.
field goal or they get a touchdown. I mean, it's very predictable.
It is.
It's almost like it's set up.
It's almost like that's the game plan every week. Try to establish a run. Oh, we can't establish the run. All right, now we'll throw it every down. It's crazy. I have some stats for you here.
Well, I got a stat here too.
Okay.
As far as defense is concerned,
Yeah.
the Texans are ranked 31st. The Lions 28th.
In what?
Defense.
Total defense.
Total defense.
Okay. Yeah, I can't really argue that. So Detroit, they're 4-6. Houston, 3-7. Okay, that's 1 game different. Points per game, they are dead even. They both score 22.7 points per game.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
I
a
see
wash.
that. Mm-hmm.
Points against, Detroit, 28.7. Houston, 27.2. So slight edge to Houston. Passing touchdowns. Now, given what we know about Matthew Stafford and Deshaun Watson and the weapons they have, and Detroit's a better record. They have a better record. Would you say Matthew Stafford has more or Deshaun Watson? I think you would say, yeah, it's Watson. He
Yeah.
has 20.
Yeah.
And
I can see
Stafford, yeah, Stafford, I know you can't, Pat. Stafford has 18. So edge to Houston. Interceptions. Watson has 5. Stafford has 8 on the season.
Yeah.
Now, rushing touchdowns. Detroit has the edge. 7-6 over Houston. Fumbles. Houston has 3. Detroit still has none. How weird is that?
That is amazing.
How can a team be 4-6 and have no fumbles? Oh, Ian, because their defense stinks. Fine, whatever.
They've fumbled, but they've recovered their own fumbles, though, I think, because I remember seeing a couple of them.
Okay, well, fumbles
Stafford,
lost, I guess.
Stafford
Oh, he did.
fumbled this last game against
Oh,
Carolina.
Well, then that stat's wrong.
That stat
That's
is
from
wrong.
like the NFL.com stats. All right. Well, I'll add
Was that
one
through
to
last week?
Maybe they did. I would assume they would have updated it by then. But either way, Houston with the edge there. Passing yards per game. Without DeAndre Hopkins, Deshaun Watson has 288.3 passing yards per game. Matthew Stafford, 267.5. So a 21-yard difference, yards per game. Rushing yards per game, Detroit has the edge. Houston stinks even worse than them at running the football, 95.4 to 84.6 yards per game.
Yeah.
Completion percentage for their quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson, 68.7 to Matthew Stafford, 62.7.
Oh, very close, a lot of these stats.
They are. And I go, okay, well, they're pretty even, I would say. You know, Detroit's got the edge in 3 of them. Houston's got the edge in 5 of them. So who do they beat?
Nobody's.
Right, Detroit has wins against Jacksonville, Atlanta, Washington, Arizona. Houston has wins against Jacksonville times 2 and New England. Now, their best wins, obviously, are New England for Houston last week and Detroit, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Playoff contender. But you look at Detroit, what did they need to do to beat Atlanta and Washington?
Last second.
Last second panic drive.
Yep.
Okay, give credit to Stafford there, but they're 2 drives away from being 2-8.
The Lions would be better just running a 2-minute offense the entire game.
Sure, I wouldn't mind that. And then you look at the losses. Detroit losses to Chicago, Green Bay, New Orleans, Indy, Minnesota, Carolina. Most of those are good teams, or they have one side of the ball that is dominant. Chicago's offense. Defense. I was thinking Minnesota's offense. They were dominant.
Oh, well, they
in
were
that game.
stinko at the beginning of the year.
Right, yeah, but they figured themselves out against Detroit. And a bad loss against Carolina. That's the worst loss. Houston losses to Kansas City, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Tennessee, Green Bay, and Cleveland.
I can understand why.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are
All
upper half
contenders.
teams.
Yeah.
Right.
All of them.
So
Interesting.
I think this game will be closer than a lot of us think and really want it to be. Patricia Quinn haters want it to be a blowout, but Lion fans, regardless, who will just root for the team, are saying, look, this will be a competitive game. It's Thanksgiving, this, that, the other thing. But looking at the stats, these teams are very, very similar.
All right. We got to take a break here, but we're going to be back and talk more sports. Give us a call here on the studio line. Let us know you're out there. 517-265-4000 is the
Hello?
number to call. Yeah, hello. And don't go away. We'll be right back.
Even sports. The Cave and 965thecave.com.
And welcome back inside the cave this morning. Pat Hayes along with Ian Wendt. And we're going to change our focus a little bit now and talk about college basketball. And we're going to obviously start off with the University of Michigan. It looked pretty good last night.
They did, and I've been thinking about green bean casserole since the moment I said it, Pat. So sooner we can get out of here, we can start making that. But yeah, solid win for Michigan, beating Bowling Green at home 96-82. Certainly good things to take away from it. And of course, things you can work on. It's your first game against competition, but a win's a win.
Yeah.
And guys stayed healthy. I know that's something we talked about last season, is like Michigan had some guys hurt, and that really affected them down the stretch, but so far so good. Austin Davis got some minutes. He got the start for Michigan. What did you see, Pat?
Well, Wagner went down in the second half with an ankle injury.
Oh,
and
okay.
It was, wow, the announcers were really kind of concerned, but he did end up coming back in and playing the latter part of the game and looked to be okay. But 5 players in double figures, led by Brown with 19. Isaiah Livers had 17. Smith had 16. 11 points each for Eli Brooks and Dickinson, the 7'1" phenom freshman, played a really great game. Had some really good offensive and defensive rebounds, and made some incredible shots underneath the basket. And he's going to be one to reckon with. He and Austin Davis kind of split the duties at the number 5 position. So it's going to take a few games for them to gel and get used to each other, playing with each other. And so it's I think it's going to be a good year.
Yeah, second season with Coach Juwan Howard at the helm for Michigan. A lot of top recruits coming in for the Maize and Blue, but look, they shot 54% from the field, 37% from beyond the arc. Bowling Green was 41% from three-point land, and not too bad. Out-rebounded the Falcons, almost doubled them up on assists. 10 turnovers for Michigan. You're going to have that. Bowling Green, a pretty tight game in that aspect. They only had 6. But offense, reading headlines and recaps, potent. I mean, 96 points in a college game. That's quality stuff.
This fella Diggs, he was 6 for 10 from behind the arc. He ended up with 23 points, but he had 21 points. I'm sorry. They had 3 players in double figures. Turner, who is he's a Division 1 player. Should be in a Power 5 conference, really, but playing for Bowling Green. He had 24 points to lead Bowling Green. Diggs with 21, as I said, 15 for Plowden. And, they played pretty well in the first half, but Michigan kind of took control in the second half and kind of ran away with it. So, a good win for the Wolverines.
We're going to get some transition tunes here. All right, there we go.
There we go, Michigan State.
It's nice playing that. At least one team is winning.
There you go.
Football, not so much. 83-67 final over the Eastern Michigan University Eagles.
No, they're the Hurons to me.
Oh, jeez. Really put things away in the first half, 43-27 lead. They both scored 40 in the second half. The game was here on the Cave. If you tuned in, you caught the Spartan radio crew there. Pretty much the same talk as Michigan is, you got to stay healthy, got to get guys gelling and playing with each other on the court. It was really the Foster Lawyer show at a career game. 20 points for him in 25 minutes for the green and white.
And 4 players in double figures, beside the 20 by Lawyer. 15 points for Hauser, 12 points for Brown, and Langford had 10 points.
Boy, I've been waiting quite a while to
Yeah.
to get and
Good to
keep
see him
Joshua Langford on the court.
Yeah, it's been
for
2 years.
MSU. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Wow.
Rocket Watts, I guess if you're going to pinpoint something, 23 minutes, 2 points for him. So some issues there, but things for Coach Tom Izzo to figure out. They shot 54% from the floor, 42% from 3, 18 turnovers. So pretty sloppy play there for MSU. I tuned in about halfway through the first, and it was almost a tie game. So I thought, oh, a little sloppy out of the gate, but they righted the ship toward the end of that first half, and they get the win, 83-67.
It was really weird watching the game, both of those games, with empty
Oh yeah,
empty facilities there. Nobody there. At Michigan, I noticed that all of the stands were pushed back to the wall, and
oh really?
there's
They
all-
didn't even bring them out.
no, didn't even have any of the stands behind the players. And there's all
Wow.
kinds of room there. They had the players all spread out, 6 feet 6 feet apart. You know, from
On the bench.
the chairs were set up that
Okay.
way. There were like 3 rows of chairs, and they were all about 6 feet apart.
That doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, it is what it is.
On timeouts, they all got together like they always do.
Right, yeah, you're playing on the court. Well, yeah, it's interesting times we're in for sure, but solid wins for both teams as they move forward. Michigan State at 13 and Michigan 25, right?
Yep.
In the top 25,
right.
so they'll stay, if not move up
Yeah,
slightly.
there's not an awful lot of movement up or down
Yeah.
this early in the season. And another item of note, there were 20 games that either were postponed or canceled last night in NCAA Division I college basketball. That tells you something right there. And what's going to happen with the scheduling? Boy, it's going to be a week-by-week situation.
Be flexible. Be flexible. Coming up against the break here, Pat, but it is Thanksgiving.
It is.
A time, of course, to give thanks for what you have and who you have and what you get to do with your life. And we thought it'd be kind of cool to take a minute or two to talk about things we're thankful for in sports. Now, I gave Pat sort of the disclaimer, if you can be a little funny with this, sarcastic, and or you can be all light, touchy-feely, however you want to go about it. So I'll get this thing started. I got 3 things. This high school football, volleyball, and all the other fall sports that had happened. They got to finish up the championships, but in March, April, we were thinking there's no way they'll get to play. They did, for the most part, played every game, stayed healthy and safe. Very thankful for that we got to do what we love, and that's talking about sports and calling athletic events, and it was good for the kids to be able to play.
That's great, and nothing wrong with that. And my first one that comes to mind here is the fact that mine are more serious. Mine are not in the.
Oh boy!
So
Get your Kleenex out. You're gonna cry.
I was very happy this year, actually at the beginning of this year, to have the privilege of broadcasting basketball games with Hall of Fame coach Fred Smith. That was one of my highlights for the year, and maybe one of the highlights I've had for a long, long time, broadcasting basketball games because of Fred's insight of the game. He comes up with all kinds of stuff that I've never even heard of before, and really has educated me. And Fred Smith is number 1 in my book.
That's a great one. That's a great one. A beacon of knowledge in the game of
Absolutely.
basketball, and
Yeah,
of course, longtime Siena Heights guy.
yeah.
And he sort of started to fall for Adrian College a little bit, when he started calling those games with you, Pat. So really cool. Number 2, the Lions playing on Thanksgiving. It's just, it's cool. they're not the best team in the world, but you can be proud of something from Detroit and from Michigan for those 3 hours that they get to host a game on Thanksgiving.
And my second one would have to be staying in the basketball realm, was broadcasting Adrian College's first NCAA tournament game in Chicago this last January. That was a real highlight for this year, and the Bulldogs really played quite well there, showed great MIAA moxie, and Kyle Lindsey did a great job coaching the team last year, and so that's one of mine.
A team that snuck into the conference tourney and went to Albion and won a couple games.
There you go.
So, yeah, that was cool. I'm pretty jealous, to be honest, Pat, that you got to do that, but that was awesome. Listened to just about that whole game. Number 3 for me, it's relatively current and it's basketball related, professional. That GM of the Pistons, Troy Weaver, is doing things. He's making moves. He's throwing people out the door, getting new guys in. It's very thankful to see. Maybe it'll revitalize the Pistons.
All right. My last one is Julie Kane from WLEN Radio. Took the dive, and we are in the cave. 96.5 The Cave started in January of this year. My hat's off to her for taking the leap of faith in a COVID year.
Wow, I went a little more non-serious. Pat with the Waterworks. Hour number 2 inside the cave coming up next.
All right, don't go away.
You'll hit a home run every time.
1065thecave.com,
We should tell people we're on live. Huh?
where we give
Yeah.
opinions and analysis on what's happening in the world of sports. Interview area coaches and players, and get you ready to start your day.
Good morning.
Now grab a flashlight, hiking boots, and a compass, because it's time to go inside the cave.
And you're back for hour number 2 of Inside the Cave. Good morning and happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners out there. Hope you're having a great day so far. And my name is Pat Hayes. Ian Wett is across the way here behind the plexiglass. And good morning, Ian.
Morning, Pat.
And
Look,
should we
we're-
talk more about food, or can I?
Now look, this isn't a pre-recorded show. This is live local radio.
That's
We're
right.
doing this for real. We're
Yeah.
up early for you.
Yeah, we're on that,
Uh,
that thing right over there.
That's right. We're on our YouTube channel, streaming live. Just look up Lenawee Broadcasting Company and find that channel. Just go ahead and subscribe to it. You can find the link to the live feed on our Facebook and our Twitter this morning. So follow along with us, or go back and listen to our crazy takes about the Lions or Michigan or Michigan State, and just have a little fun with it. So just another added element to the show.
All right, and if you'd like to talk sports with us, give us a call, 517-265-4000. That's the number to call. Let's get things started.
Now for an Inside the Cave sports update.
The Adrian College Athletics Department and Bulldog Men's Hockey, they have announced the addition of another home-and-home non-conference series against NCAA Division I opponent this weekend, and this time it's in the form of Lake Superior State University. Adrian will make the trip up to Sault Ste. Marie for a Friday game at 7, and then the Bulldogs will host the Lakers at the Arrington at around 2 o'clock on Sunday. Spectators will not be allowed to attend the games until further notice. The Bulldogs, they're 1-2 lifetime against NCAA opponents. DeAndre Swift, he is trending up on the Lions' latest practice report, but Galladay trending down and is very unlikely to play Thanksgiving against the Texans. Galladay limited by a hip injury. He did not participate in a walkthrough Tuesday, downgraded to out on that injury report. Several other guys on the injury report list, cornerback Jeff Okuda, defensive lineman Deshaun Hand, and cornerback Mike Ford, they were out of practice. And there's a long list of players who were limited: Danny Amendola, Austin Bryant, Jarrett Davis, Marvin Hall, TJ Hawkinson, Jonah Jackson, Christian Jones, among them, including Matthew Stafford with that right thumb injury. And all 15 players remain slowed by injuries heading into their game today against Houston. 7 of those are offensive starters. One of the former Detroit Pistons guards, he'll make his return to the roster in the upcoming season. Wayne Ellington will reportedly return to Detroit, according to ESPN. The contract is for 1 year, worth $2.6 million. I'll take that. The 6'4" shooting guard, who turns 33 Sunday, gives the Pistons a much-needed three-point shooting threat. The Miami Heat traded Ellington to the Phoenix Suns in February 2019, and he was waived 1 day later. He was signed with the Pistons a few days after that, played 28 games in Detroit, averaging 12 points, 2 rebounds, and 1.5 assists, while shooting 37% from three-point range. That's very good. Ellington, he played 36 games with the Knicks after signing with them in July. Ellington has played for 9 teams in his 11-year career. He has appeared in 681 games. He's averaging 8 points, and he shoots 37.8% from 3. Foster Loyer scored a career-high 20 points to lead number 13 Michigan State to an 83-67 win over Eastern Michigan. And Chaundi Brown, he scored 18 of his 19 points in the second half in his Michigan debut. 25th ranked Michigan takes down Bowling Green 96-82.
It's Michigan.
I got a slight Michigan in there. And speaking of Michigan, Penn State, they will visit the Big House, an empty Big House. It's not the Big Ten's game of the week in a traditional sense. It's sure to draw some eyeballs, though. Penn State, they're 0-5 in their long, long football history.
Gosh, can you believe it?
Now, the quarterback situation is murky. Coach James Franklin does not appear to have any answers. And the state of Michigan's program under Harbaugh is summed up by the fact it needed 3 overtimes to beat Rutgers to improve to 2-3. And elsewhere in the Big Ten, Nebraska tries to win a 5-game losing streak against Iowa on Friday. That comment about Harbaugh is written in the story, just showing the YouTube people. I didn't write it. That's it for our sports update for this hour.
All right. If you'd like to talk with us, you have something else on your mind, give us a call here on the studio line. 517-265-4000 is the number to call. And we got to move right along here, too.
We do. We have our Adrian Locksmith Lock of the Weekend coming up in a little bit.
Yep.
But we got to talk about and pick some games.
Yep,
to
let's
get
do
to
it.
that point. We will start with the game this afternoon. It is Detroit. They're hosting Houston. Pat, do you have a line for that? Who's favored?
Of course, the Texans are favored by 3.
Okay. Who do you got?
Who do I have? I've got Houston all the way. Houston, the Texans. They are going to pick up their 4th win of the season, and Romeo Crennel is going to be a little less hot on the hot seat. Matt Patricia is going to get a little hotter.
Yes. I need to double check and make sure I got my pick right. Yep, I picked Houston. It's the Deshaun Watson factor.
It will
He's
be.
going to be the best player on the field. It'll be fun to watch. We don't get to see a lot of him being in different conferences. But, going into the season, maybe this was a game when they scheduled it, they thought Houston could be a contender and so could Detroit. They're not. They
No.
both stink.
Deshaun Watson has a quarterback rating at 108.6. Matthew Stafford, 93.7.
So there we go. We got the Texans over the Lions. I'm going to go out on a limb and pick the score. I'm
Oh,
going to really put myself out there. I think Houston will score above their average and score 27 to Detroit's 21. I think the Lions will have the ball, a chance to do it, tie the game and win it, but they fall short.
I'll pick a score. It's going to be a low-scoring ball game. It's going to be 17-7.
Oh, I think I know why you picked that. I think I know why you picked that score.
Why?
It's because last week I picked Wisconsin to beat Northwestern, and Northwestern beats Wisconsin 17-7.
And I have a bone to pick with you on that game, too.
Why? Because I called you crazy for picking
You
Northwestern?
told me I was crazy to even think Northwestern would be in the top
Yeah.
echelon. They're going to win the Western,
Oh, wow, the powerful West.
the powerful
The almighty
West.
Western
Yes,
side of the
they'll
Big
be
Ten.
playing Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game.
Goodness gracious, that'll be something else. All right, another NFL game today. It's the middle game of what used to be 3 games. The Washington football team will go to Dallas and Jerry World to take on the Cowboys.
Oh man, what a game!
Hey, this could be for the division lead. I think it will be,
It
whoever
will
wins.
be. It will be. Yeah. Well,
Could you imagine if they tied? I don't want to put that
don't
out
even
there.
don't even go.
That would
there.
make the NFC East just historically bad.
Reluctantly, I took the Dallas Cowboys. They are picked by 3.
I will counter that. I picked Washington. I think their defensive line has been the difference this season.
Well, Alex Smith was the difference last week.
Yeah, Alex Smith played really well against the Bengals. They're on a win streak here. They felt they beat the Lions, but they did not.
By the way, who's the quarterback for the Cowboys?
Yeah,
Is
it's going to be
Dalton?
Andy Dalton.
Dalton,
Yep.
yeah.
He
Okay.
played in their win against Minnesota. So they're kind of on
That was
an
a
up and
quality
up.
win, yeah. Okay.
But I think Alex Smith will outduel Andy Dalton in a battle of quarterbacks who are wearing jerseys, and you go, they're not playing for that team, are they? No, Dalton's a Bengal, and Smith is a 49er. Smith is a Chief. But, yeah, it'll be another... You'll be happy that you're sleeping off your food coma
Yeah.
by that point. You don't have to watch that game. The nightcap was going to be Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Baltimore having COVID issues, so that game has been pushed to Sunday for the
Sunday afternoon.
rivalry game.
Yep.
Continuing our picks, we'll stick with football. Number 15, Iowa State. They will take their 15 ranking and go to Texas to battle the Longhorns. They are 20th in America. Where are we going with this one?
Oh boy, Texas. This is a pretty even game. Iowa State's picked by 1, but I'm going to go with Texas because they're at home, and I like that the fact that it's a noon kickoff, and I'm going to go with the Longhorns.
So the last game for Iowa State, they crushed Kansas State like 45-0. Texas 5-2, Iowa State 6-2. I'm gonna go with the Cyclones in
Ooh.
Iowa State. Back when the Big Ten was talking about expanding, I thought, just from a naive fan standpoint, they would be a cool team to have in the Big Ten. Another team out west, another Iowa school, and they can play football.
Yes, they can.
They sure can. So I got the Cyclones in that one. A really, should be a fun one if you get a chance to watch it. We'll go to another game outside the Big Ten. We'll get to the in-state picks later. The Iron Bowl. I assume it's going to happen. I know Nick Saban tested positive for COVID. Auburn, number 22. Alabama, number 1. Does Auburn have a chance?
No, they do not have a chance, and they're not going to have a last play of the ball game touchdown to beat Alabama.
A kick 6 or anything like that?
The Crimson Tide are favored by 24.5. It's going to be Alabama in a rout.
Buckeye fans are rooting for Auburn big time.
Yes,
I'm
they are.
hoping they can jump up in the rankings. It will not happen. Bama rolls with the Tide and beat a sort of a surprise Auburn team. You know that they're ranked. They hit a slump there, but yeah, Bama retains number 1 and beats Auburn. We'll do basketball. There's 2 basketball games I want to pick, then Michigan State football. 2 top 25 games slated for today. Arizona State goes to Villanova. Number 18 versus number 3.
Wow, this is a tough one. There's no line on this game either.
Really? Okay. Picking
All right,
blind.
I'll go with number 3, Villanova.
Yeah, 3 is better than 18 when you're talking about rankings, and those
Mhm.
usually hold true early on. And yeah, I'll go Villanova too, as well. They're number 3.
Okay.
Picking them as well.
Yep.
Number 1, Gonzaga goes on the road against Kansas. Boy, when they scheduled this, and they thought they'd have fans for Kansas.
Yeah.
Now they might. I don't know what their rules are for the Big 12 or if it's by state. But number 1, Gonzaga. Number 6, Kansas. Is Gonzaga a fraud early on, Pat, or are they the real deal?
They are the real deal. Both the men's and women's team are the real deal. It'll be Gonzaga at least by 7 points.
Yeah, we're going to pick Gonzaga. You alluded to it because we have a local basketball star going there, Bree Salenbine.
Yep, next year.
Yep, committing to Gonzaga. So I'll go Zags here for the Salenbine family.
All right.
Football games. We'll pick the Laugher, and then we'll pick the one that might be competitive. The Laugher, Northwestern, number 11 in America. They go to Michigan State. Can Sparty pull off the upset? I'm sure the spread is closer to 20 than it is to 10.
I don't think that's going to happen with Sparty. As I'm just looking for the spread, it is 13-point spread.
Ooh, okay.
So I will take Northwestern.
Now, do you think they cover that?
I think they
Couple
will.
touchdowns.
I think they will. Yep, I think they will.
Yeah, the quarterback question continues for Michigan State. Will it be Rocky Lombardi? Will it be a Peyton Thorne? I read an article in The Athletic before the season about Peyton Thorne, about how he could make an argument to start for Michigan State. If you're Mel Tucker, do you give him a chance?
I think you should.
Like you split the season in half. You know, Rocky Lombardi had 4 starts. Maybe give Peyton Thorne a couple here for MSU. I don't think it makes a difference. These games are usually close. You know, and in years past, it's been Michigan State winning. I think it will be the Wildcats, less comfortable than they want it to be against Michigan State. Last pick, Michigan hosting Penn State. 2 wins between the two programs, 2-8 between the two. I would imagine Michigan's favored by 6. That's my guess, Pat, if you got the number.
I'm looking for it real quickly here, and I'm not coming
I'll let you
up with
look for it. Now, I'll give you my pick first. Boy, Michigan needs this win. They really do. You don't want to be Penn State's first win of the campaign. You got lucky against Rutgers. We're going to talk to John Borden with The Athletic. I have some thoughts that I gave yesterday, and I want to get his reaction on a couple of them if I could. I think Michigan gets the win. Honestly, they might blow them out. I mean, Penn State's bad. They got to be bad on all sorts of levels to be 0-5. So I'll go Michigan here by 12.
Wow, you're generous.
What do they give the spread at?
2.5.
Whoa.
2.5 point favorite is Michigan.
Oh, man, how bad is the Big Ten? How bad can they be this year?
They are bad.
What's going on?
They're
Up
bad.
is down, left is right.
Yeah. And Penn State 0-5. You never would have thunk it.
Because it's never happened.
That's right.
It's never happened.
All right, it's time
Who you
for
got?
our lock of the week here. Is that?
Oh, are you picking Michigan
I'm sorry.
too?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I assume you picked
Yeah,
Michigan.
yeah. I gotta go with.
Do you
the
think
Wolverines.
do you think it's closer to a 12-point win or a 2?
2.
Okay.
It's gonna be close. Very close, I think.
Rutgers was an 8-point spread. How weird is that? Vegas is weird.
I don't get it.
All right, let's get to our lock of the
All right.
The season doesn't make any sense.
This week's Lock of the Weekend is brought to you by Adrian Locksmith. Let's be honest, you couldn't pick your nose if it wasn't attached to your face. So I can't imagine you're any good at picking football games. So we're going to help you out with the help of Adrian Locksmith. They have been serving Lenawee County and the surrounding area for over 20 years. Adrian Locksmith is located at the corner of North Main and Maple Avenue in Adrian. We'll be right back.
Oh, you're making me pick it? Okay.
Well-
Yeah, it's tough. We both did not pick the Lions to
No,
win,
no.
so they can't be our lock. We're not going to pick the lock against a hometown team. So we looked at who's got a better chance of winning. Lions, Michigan State, Michigan. We're going Wolverines.
Yep.
How comfortable we are, we're locking it.
Not-
They're going to win,
Yep.
but it might be ugly. As Pat said, it might be a 2-point win for the Maize and Blue.
Very ugly, I think. Our Lock of the Weekend has been brought to you by Adrian Locksmith. Security is their business. Adrian Locksmith is at 402 North Main Street in Adrian. Give them a call at 517-263-1415 or check them out on Facebook. We'll be right back. You're inside the cave this morning with yours truly, Pat Hayes and Ian Wendt.
Real big hits, really big plays. We're talking about it. 96.5, The Cave.
And you're back inside the cave this morning. Pat Hayes along with Ian Went, and glad you could join us this morning on this Thanksgiving morning as we're getting the turkey ready. On the other end of our line this morning, we have John Borton from the Wolverine magazine. And good morning, John, and happy Thanksgiving.
Morning, Pat. Happy Thanksgiving to you and to all of your listeners out there. Appreciate the chance to be on with you.
Well, of course, we are very thankful today. We had a Michigan victory last Saturday against Rutgers. Wasn't easy. It went till 12:30 in the morning, but we got a triple overtime victory, and maybe some of your thoughts on that ball game.
Well, you found a win that you desperately needed, and you may have found a quarterback along the way. It was certainly not looking like Michigan was going to move to 2-3. It looked like 1-4 for sure when they fell behind 17-0 in the first half. They were moving the ball a little bit offensively, but making mistakes, fumbling, doing things that just dug a huge hole. And 3 minutes to go in the first half, they're down, like I said, 17-zip. All of a sudden, you see a new guy coming onto the field. We've seen Joe Milton for all the games thus far, but they put out the call to Cade McNamara, the redshirt freshman off the bench, and before you knew it, he had Michigan in the end zone, and everything turned around after that. You saw a long touchdown return on a kickoff, and Michigan go through. It wasn't easy, that's for sure, triple overtime, but Cade McNamara was absolutely brilliant. 260 yards, 4 touchdowns in leading Michigan to that 48-42 triple overtime win. And I would say, on the whole, a very heartening outing for Michigan, who desperately needed a win.
Well, Cade McNamara, as you said, coming in, I'm just kind of wondering how he didn't get the start earlier in the year. He must have not been as good in practice as Joe Milton has been.
Well, I you know, it's easy to look back and wonder that. I will say this: I give a lot of credit to John Jansen, who the former Michigan All-American on that '97 team, who now is a commentator and does radio himself. But John told me last spring when we were putting together our football preview issue, I was talking all about Dylan McCaffrey versus Joe Milton and all that. And he says, you know, don't forget about Cade McNamara. Make sure you mention him, because this kid is really good. I've seen him play in practice, and you know, at the time, I'm thinking, okay, John, thanks, I appreciate that. It's kind of like a coach naming everybody at a position to not leave anybody out. But John Jansen knew exactly what he was talking about, and we saw that play out. It's easy to get caught up in Joe Milton, 6'5", 6'6", huge arm, and does so many things well. And remember, this can be a good quarterback. He's got a lot of tools, and I think that Michigan just thought with him in there, it could do great things. But you understand, there's more talent beyond the guy that eventually gets chosen. And for whatever reason, he performed well enough in practice to be ahead of Cade, but Cade definitely showed it in the game when it was much needed.
And good morning, John. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. My question and sort of comment stems off of Cade McNamara's performance, which was really good versus Rutgers on Saturday. Yesterday on the show, I cautioned Michigan fans to not fall for Cade just yet. And I gave the example of Joe Milton. You know, we were all over him after the Minnesota game and how great he looked. And then we've seen what's happened since. Teams do have film on McNamara now. Do you think there's any truth to that, or do you think this is a different story for Cade as opposed to Joe?
Oh, I think absolutely you have to not expect the quarterback to connect on 75% of his passes and throw 4 touchdown passes every time out. he will face better defenses, no question about it. He will also have times when he just struggles more. I am convinced that he is going to be starting on Saturday, and not bad timing for him because it's against an 0-5 team that is struggling mightily itself in Penn State this year. But sure, we saw Milton in that first game. We didn't know exactly what Minnesota had. They've proven to have a very poor defense. But Joe Milton had us all convinced that, okay, wow, this is the guy. Look at how he did. And since then, he has struggled some. There will be times when Cade McNamara struggles. You want them both still engaged and involved in playing well. But I do think there are some things that Cade McNamara does at this point that kind of transcend the defense that you're playing. I saw some things from him. You know, everybody saw the big stuff. Everybody saw Cornelius Johnson make the double move, and Cade get protection, hang in the pocket, deliver the deep ball. That was right on the money, and that's something that's much needed for this team. But what they might not have seen was what happened right before that in terms of Cade McNamara seeing something that's coming on the blitz and alerting Zach Charbonnet in the backfield, hey, switch over here and take this guy. You see Charbonnet move over and make a key block that opens it up for that to happen. You saw also McNamara on one play where he was absolutely going to get taken down hard, roll out and get rid of the ball just in time, threw it out of bounds. It's a nothing play. This goes for an incompletion, but it would have been a 10 or 12 yard loss. So some of those little things that I think he is very good at will certainly carry him over, even when it's not noticed as much as some of the dramatic plays.
Yeah, those are things that you can't see in practice. You know, you have to do it in the game, in the moment. So that's a good point you made about the difference between McNamara and Milton is, well, maybe Joe was doing it in practice and Cade did it in the game, and that's the difference.
Well, Joe took a big sack in that same game, not much earlier than that, and you know, he is still learning. They're both still learning to be a quarterback at the college level. But on some of those kinds of plays, if you can make them, you know, all of a sudden you put yourself in position to not only help your team but stay on the field.
Well, we got Penn State coming up, 0-5. When's the last time you've ever seen a Nittany Lion team 0-5 on the season? And they have a bit of a quarterback issue also. They have Will Levis, who started some games, and they also have Sean Clifford, who has been playing as of late and is expected to get the start against Michigan. What do you think about Penn State, John?
Well, I think they mirror Michigan in a lot of ways in terms of some of the personnel that they've lost. Freiermuth, the big tight end, is the latest in a series of injuries, and that is really set Penn State back. They have, like I said, they're like Michigan. They lost guys to opt-outs. They're losing guys to injury, and they've turned the football over. They have 13 turnovers on the year. You're talking about the quarterback situation there. Clifford has racked up a number of interceptions, 8, I believe, and it's, you know, so that throws things into question. It also brings forth the question: Can Michigan take advantage of those things? Because you know you're sitting here with a Michigan team that had one interception on the season until Daxton Hill comes up with the game winner in the middle of the night against Rutgers, a desperation heave into the end zone. So Michigan hasn't been adept at taking advantage of those things. We'll see how well they can do it in this game, because Penn State has certainly been turnover prone, and that's one of the big reasons that they are 0-5. You mentioned when was the last time, and the answer is never. There's never been a Penn State team that has started the season 0-5, and certainly not 0-6, but Michigan has a chance to put them there.
Well, Don Brown must be licking his chops as he looks at the defense and what they can do against this Penn State team. And I'm sure they're going to put a lot of pressure on Clifford. Like as you said, he's had a lot of turnovers, pass interceptions, and that sort of thing. So the defense could really be the story of this game.
You would like to think so, but I hesitate to say that because instead of licking his chops for most of the year, Don Brown has been licking his wounds. This is a defense that hasn't held the team to under 24 points all year. I wonder, this would seem to be the time to do so. Seem to be the time to put it on Penn State and put out one of those 17-point games, 20-point games that Michigan should be able to overcome. They've had so many issues. It does look like the cornerbacks are learning as they go and coming around a little bit. But I would say this: if you're Cade McNamara, you should definitely gear up to score a lot of points again. Same thing with the rest of Michigan's offense. You would like to also think that with the greater threat of downfield connections and a higher passing percentage, such as McNamara racked up, you're going to be able to run for a little bit better yardage as you did in the second half against Rutgers. So Tom Haskins asserting himself with a 100-yard game. I would like to think this is the game for Michigan where the defense stands up and starts to grow up a little bit, but I guess I'm waiting to see. I'm a wait and see on that one.
All right, John Borton, our guest here from the Wolverine Magazine, and we got to take a break here, but we'll be back to talk more football and maybe a little peek at some basketball. A game was played last night. Don't go away. You're inside the cave this morning on 96.5 FM.
Hi, this
I think it was kind of a spontaneous burst of emotion. This is the same team, that had been accused of, okay, they look lifeless, they're not enthused, they're not interested, they're not touching the banner, releasing to touch the banner hard enough. So it's almost like a can't win scenario. They were getting that heat on them, and then after they get excited because they win a game, an exciting game where they had to really put together a comeback and find a way to win, then some people are saying, seriously? Why are you celebrating that hard at Rutgers? So, to me, I can't fault these guys for you want to generate some enthusiasm, you want to be able to carry that into a game against Penn State, and if they get to 3-3 against Penn State, even an 0-5, which would be 0-6 Penn State team, go for it. I can't fault that.
Right, and you can't really fault the players, I guess, for doing that, but, I think good points are made on either side, whether it was you want them to be emotionless and just like, all right, you won. It was exciting for them, of course, the triple overtime, all the excitement of that, and I can see the other side of it too. And we didn't script that conversation, John. I just brought that on you spontaneously. You didn't pitch your article or anything. That was seamless. That was perfect.
No, but yeah, it was a very timely question because it's been something that's talked about this week, and I had that on my mind.
Well, a lot of criticism this week for Quinn Nordin missing field goals. Any word on that?
Well, yeah, it's a rough situation because you're looking at a guy that's now, I believe, 2 for 5, and he replaced a guy that went 0 for 3 early in the season. So you are connecting on field goals at a 25%. That's not a good situation. You don't want to come down to a field goal if you get into late in the game against Penn State. I will say this, that they weren't all his fault. One of them was a bad snap and it messed up the timing and all, and Quinn was maybe a little bit too vociferous on his way off the field. He was letting people know he wasn't happy at all about the situation. But absolutely they've got to get some things together on special teams. You saw the highs and the lows of it. You saw Giles Jackson motor 95 yards with a kickoff return touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
That really ignited Michigan in the second half. But you also, honestly, when Nordin missed the first field goal in overtime, we talked about Rutgers missing its one. Well, that absolutely had to happen because when Nordin missed to start that overtime, I thought, that's it. They are going to lose this game. And fortunately for Michigan, Rutgers returned the favor.
Well, let's switch gears here. We want to talk a little bit about Michigan basketball. Of course, the Wolverines played last night, played Bowling Green to an empty Chrysler Center. 5 Wolverines in double figures. I don't know if you were at the game or not, John, but your impressions.
Well, I tell you what, it was a starkly positive impression for Juwan Howard's second team. You look at the way these guys mesh together, how they move the ball, only turned the ball over 10 times with a high-scoring game and a lot of up and down movement, a lot of, like I said, unselfishness and sharing the basketball. Very impressive. 23 assists, and those guys that you talked about, that 5 guys in double figures, including you go from you bring in a veteran player like Shawnee Brown that comes in and goes crazy in the second half. Actually leads the team in scoring with 19 points.
Mm-hmm.
Nails three pointers, or multiple 3-pointers, and then you go clear down to a freshman in Hunter Dickinson who comes off the bench, goes 11 and 8, points, rebounds, assists, block shot. They've got a really, really nice mix of very talented players, and I think everybody's leaving them on the outer cusp of that top half dozen teams in the Big Ten. But I am not convinced at all that they are going to have to remain there. I think that they could be up there in the top 5 in this league.
Well, 7'1" Dickinson really impressed me. He and Austin Davis kind of shared that number 5 position last night. Both of them, played very well. Of course, Austin Davis, a local product here from Onstead, we're always rooting for him. But Dickinson especially was, he made some shots underneath the basket that he had 2 or 3 defenders on him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Very impressive for the freshman. But I'll say this, that it's a wonderful situation for the Wolverines right now, because you do have Austin Davis, who is starting and who is unselfish and who has opened himself up to make Hunter Dickinson feel very comfortable. Austin Davis took Dickinson and several other teammates on a fishing trip for when they first got here to just put everyone at ease, and he is the perfect teammate. He's the guy that's going to, rather than thinking, oh wow, this 7'1" kid might take some of my minutes, he is helping him in every way he can. Just Austin Davis, as the folks of Onstead and Lenawee County know, is gem and well taught, and it's a really good situation. So, that's something that Juwan Howard also stresses, the team aspect of it, the family aspect of it, and I think it's going to help in a year where you do have a lot of incoming new talent that needs to meld and blend with the guys that carry over from last year.
It's funny you're talking about the fishing trip. We did have Austin Davis on right before he had his surgery this last year, and he was out on Loch Erin fishing with his brother. So he must love to fish.
No doubt about it. He's a Lenawee County guy, and he's fun to talk to. He really is. I've enjoyed him at Michigan, and that what a great story. It's just a story of perseverance. Some people might have questioned at the time in signing with Michigan, as opposed to maybe a slightly smaller school where he would have gotten big minutes right from the get-go. But he is where he wanted to be, both academically and athletically, and to earn the spot that he did that 5th year is a really special story, and it's just a lot of fun to be able to watch him now.
One quick question for you, John, as we're running out of time. Should Michigan fans be concerned about the points given up, or is that sort of a mirage?
It's not a mirage, but I'll tell you what, it's a quality basketball win. Bowling Green is going to be a very, very good team this year. Anybody that saw that game knows that Justin Turner, as the announcer said in that game, could have been a Big Ten player if he wanted to. He could have signed on with anyone as a transfer, and he filled it with 24 points. And they have got some quality players. They're supposed to be the top team in the MAC, and don't look down on MAC teams, because they do have some quality players. But for the end of the season, I think that's going to rank as a quality win for the Wolverines. Now, that said, they've got some things to tighten down on defense. We saw one of the new guys that is starting, Mike Smith, starting at the point guard, get blown by a couple times, and there were moments when you're going to have to play a little bit better defense, but I think most of it was the skill out of Bowling Green, and it's considerable.
All right, we're running out of time, John. Tell us how we can subscribe to the Wolverine.
Well, if you want to get the Wolverine magazine, I'll give you a free number that you can call up, 800-421-7751. And also, we're on the Wolverine.com every single day. If you want to read that column that I referenced, it's on there. I don't think that's behind the paywall, but you can also get 60 days free on the website with the code BLUE60, so you might want to pursue that as well.
All right, John, thank you very much. And happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we'll see you back here again next week.
All right, thanks, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
And that's going to wrap up our show for today. And Ian, again, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. I hope you have everything cleaned up and ready to go.
Sure do. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Pat, and all our listeners. Thanks for tuning in Inside the Cave. We'll have another show tomorrow morning talking about the Lions.
All right, and our lock of the week is the Michigan Wolverines.
That's right, and you can tune in to the Lions game here on the Cave and Michigan State on Saturday for some football action.
Have a great weekend.